The day she said it, the sky was low and gray, the kind that presses down on your chest like it knows your secrets. He was standing in the school parking lot, one hand gripping his son's backpack, the other holding a paper cup of coffee that had already gone cold. He hadn't noticed the cold. He rarely did anymore. Cold had become familiar. What he noticed was her smile, sharp, polished, rehearsed, like a blade she had learned to carry well. "No one loves you," his ex-wife said, tilting her head just enough to make it sting. "Not like that. You're a single dad now. That's all you'll ever be." She didn't shout. She didn't need to. The words landed quietly, precisely, like stones placed on a grave. He didn't answer. He never did. Silence had become his armor, thin but necessary. He bent down, zipped his son's jacket a little higher, and whispered, "Be good today," as if the world were still kind enough to listen. When the car drove away, he stood there longer than he needed to, watching taillights disappear, feeling the weight of a life that had narrowed into schedules, lunches packed before dawn, and nights spent pretending the ache wasn't there. He had loved once, deeply, completely, and when it ended, it didn't shatter, it eroded. Day by day, comment by comment, until even love felt like something he must have imagined. At home, the apartment was quiet except for the hum of an old refrigerator and the ticking clock he couldn't afford to replace. The walls were bare, not because he didn't care, but because every picture reminded him of a version of himself he no longer recognized. He washed dishes slowly, methodically, like time might soften if handled with care. Single fatherhood wasn't heroic, it was invisible. It was learning how to braid hair by watching videos at midnight. It was choosing the cheaper cereal because shoes mattered more. It was smiling through parent-teacher meetings while wondering if the judgment in their eyes was real or just fear speaking too loudly in his head. At night, after his son slept, he sat by the window and listened to the city breathe. Somewhere out there, people were laughing, loving, making plans. Somewhere out there, the woman who once promised forever had already rewritten her story with someone else as the hero. And here he was, alone with the echo of a sentence that replayed when the lights went out. "No one loves you." He tried to shake it off. He told himself love wasn't the point. Stability was, safety, showing up, but even the strongest resolve grows tired when it's never held by another hand. Weeks later, the invitation arrived folded into an envelope too expensive for his mailbox. A charity gala, black tie, the kind of place where names carried weight and silence was expensive. He almost laughed, almost threw it away, but his son had brought it in with bright eyes, proud to have helped the neighbor carry groceries, proud of the world as only children can be. "Can we go?" his son asked, just to see. He said yes without knowing why. The night of the gala, he borrowed a suit. It didn't fit right, nothing ever seemed to anymore. He stood in the mirror and practiced a smile that wouldn't apologize for existing. He promised himself he'd stay an hour. He promised himself he wouldn't compare. He promised himself he wouldn't hope. That was when he met her. She wasn't loud. She didn't need to be. The room bent toward her in small, respectful ways, people turning, conversations lowering, a subtle shift in gravity. She noticed him not because he stood out, but because he didn't try to. Their eyes met across the room, and in that brief exchange, something unspoken passed between them, recognition without judgment. They spoke about small things. Schools, books, children. She listened the way few people did, without waiting for her turn. When she laughed, it was soft and unguarded, like she had learned that joy didn't need witnesses to be real. When he mentioned his son, her expression changed, not pity, not curiosity, but warmth. Real warmth, the kind that doesn't ask you to earn it. He did not tell anyone about her. Not his friends who asked why he seemed lighter. Not his sister who noticed the way he hummed while cooking dinner. Not even his son, who only knew that his father smiled more and stared out the window less. Some things, when they arrive too gently, feel fragile. Like they might disappear if named too loudly. They met again by accident. Or at least that's what he told himself. A small cafe near the school. Rain tapping softly against the glass. She was there, a cup cradled in her hands, hair pulled back in a way that made her look less like someone who belonged to the world of chandeliers and more like someone who understood quiet mornings. Is this coincidence, he asked, half smiling, or have I finally stepped into a better chapter? She smiled back, maybe both. They talked for hours, about the strange courage it takes to start over. About children who ask hard questions and forgive easily. About how loneliness can exist even in rooms full of people. She never spoke about wealth. Never hinted at power. She spoke like someone who had learned that being seen mattered more than being admired. He learned to look forward to the sound of his phone again. Days turned into weeks. She met his son on a Sunday afternoon in the park, bringing nothing but patience and a bag of apples. She knelt to his level, asked him about his favorite superhero, listened like it was the most important answer in the world. Later, as they walked home, his son slipped his small hand into hers without thinking. That night, after bedtime stories and whispered goodnights, he sat alone in the kitchen and felt something unfamiliar press against his ribs. Fear, because hope, once invited back, demands courage. His ex-wife noticed the change before he did. She always had a way of sensing when the ground beneath him was no longer soft. She laughed when she saw him one afternoon, standing straighter, eyes clearer. "Found someone?" she asked, Mockery dressed as curiosity. He didn't answer. She leaned closer. Careful, women don't line up for baggage. He watched her walk away, and for the first time, the words didn't follow him home. But secrets have weight. One evening, as they sat together watching the city lights flicker on like stars learning their place, she took a breath that sounded practiced. "There's something I haven't told you," she said. His chest tightened. "Okay, my life is larger than it looks," she said carefully. "And sometimes, that makes people see me before they know me." He waited. He had learned that patience was a form of love. "I don't want you to feel tricked," she continued. "Or small, or like you're standing in my shadow." She finally told him about the companies, the inheritance, the numbers that no longer felt real even to her. About how money had solved many problems but created others that never slept. He didn't speak right away. She watched his face, bracing for distance. Instead, he laughed softly. "I thought you were going to tell me something bad." Her eyes widened. "This isn't bad," he shook his head. "It's just a detail. I know who you are when you're holding my son's hand." Something in her broke then. Quietly, safely. The night she met his ex-wife was not planned. Few confrontations ever are. A chance meeting at a school event. Her ex-wife's smile faltered as recognition dawned, not of wealth, but of confidence. Of presence. Of a woman who did not compete. Introductions were made, polite, civil. Later, in the parking lot, the words came sharp and hurried. "You think this changes something?" He looked at her, really looked, and realized the power had shifted without noise. "It already has," he said. "Because love, real love, does not announce itself with riches or revenge. It simply stands its ground. And the world adjusts." As the night wore on, he forgot to watch the clock. He didn't know then who she was. He didn't know the world would later call her a billionaire. All he knew was that for the first time in years, the sentence that had haunted him lost its edge. "No one loves you." It wavered, just a little, and sometimes, that's how every